So today we're going to get into something that everyone knows what it actually is, but there's actually so many different methods to actually enter one of these. And what this is a hairpin. Damn, that hurt. Obviously not one of those types of hairpins. It's a hairpin in a game. But in a rally game, there is so many different ways. I think there's like 4 or 5 different ways I approach a hairpin. And I just thought I'd share it with you guys because I haven't seen that many tutorials or really information about this sort of stuff. So thought I'd help you with a bit of knowledge, man. The stage we're going to use today is in Greece. It's Parnassos. Anyway, we're in a WRC 1 class car, so the quicker ones. These are very, very nimble, and they're actually a pretty good way to learn how to do a hairpin. But just bear in mind, keep it on a very slow corner. This is only the 3rd corner into this stage, so this is one you guys can try at home for yourself, okay? So what is a hairpin? So pretty much a hairpin on a game is a type of a corner where you're going to be at least into 1st gear, sometimes 2nd, but typically a 3rd. So it's one of the tightest corners in a game, not to be confused with an acute hairpin, which is actually even tighter, but this, we're using a hairpin as an example. Typically what it is, it's a corner where it goes right back onto itself. So typically to get around one of these things, you need to rotate the car very, very quickly around the radius of the corner. Typically you want to come from the outside through to the inside of the middle and back to the outside to keep the best type of speed, but it doesn't always work this way, and there's a lot of different scenarios that would usually stop this from happening. So I'm going to go through 4 different methods of how to actually enter a hairpin, the different ways you use these types of styles as entries, and yeah, as I said, man, this is just a bit of a tutorial for you guys to really learn how to attack hairpins and even look at a track in a different way for your next attempt at a rally stage. So the first method we're going to do is one where you really know this corner's coming up. You can anticipate it, if you know exactly where it's going to be. Coming into the hairpin, you're going to really brake hard, and as you get a little bit closer and sort of near the apex, then you start letting off the brake. As you continue around the corner, you still keep the brake on, but gradually letting it off. And usually if you have more of a time or a bigger hairpin, you'd hold the brake a little bit around most of the corner itself until you get to near the exit, then let off. That is the typical way you would trail brake. In this case I don't, but this is the method that you would sort of do if you really know the hairpin is coming. It's a very fast way to approach a hairpin if it's open enough or big enough to use this method. But there's a lot of different methods, for example, for different radiuses or how tight a hairpin can be. So this one is a pretty typical one of how I'd sort of kind of do most of my hairpins, if I'm honest with you guys. I call it a rip and grip. So this is one that you really try to use if you're coming into a corner very, very quick and you've noticed that the car is starting to understeer. So understeer is basically where you turn in, the car keeps going straight. This is a really good method to just reset with the handbrake the angle or direction of the car and pull it out of an understeer. In this case, I understeer into the apex, give it a bit of a rip so I can get the grip, and then I just pivots the car nicely around the apex and I continue on around the hairpin. A very good method. I do this a lot, but sometimes it happens so quick with gear shifts and stuff like that, you sort of miss it. So just a very handy method, to a bit of a recovery method, I guess you could call this one. Now this is probably my favorite one, if not second favorite. My actual favorite would be the next one coming, but this one, the Scandinavian flick, man, this looks so freaking stylish once you pull it off. Very nice. The Colin McRae signature, man, how he used to do his hairpins. Just a beautiful maneuver. What I usually use this for is my driving style is very loose and aggressive. I usually use a Scandinavian flick not just to get the angle of a car, but I throw it in very sideways to actually brush off speed. So instead of using the brakes, I actually use the sideways momentum of a car, usually to slow the car down and also get an angle in. So that's just how I sort of approach this. But what we're going to do, I'm going into say it's a left-hander, I'm going to turn to the right before it. I'm going to get off the throttle, then I'm going to turn back in with a dab on the brake, and because we always tune a rally car to have a front brake bias, it's going to make the front dig in already because the weight is already offset with your throttle coming off the rear. Upset, dab, turn in, and just from that aggressive weightless sort of hook, the car's already coming straight in, man, like that. And it's just a very nice freaking maneuver. And when you pull it off, you'll know, you're just like, damn, that felt good. Alright, so now we're probably up to the final one. This one is a freaking banger, man. This one, I would use this in a case where I've come up to a hairpin and I'm like, I've got way too much speed for this. It's a reverse entry, okay? And to be a reverse entry, the car doesn't have to be literally 180 degrees to go, but going backwards. It can be just a bit, you know, facing the rear. What it really is I'm going to turn in before the hairpin. I'm ripping up the e-brake and turning in as well as sometimes a bit of a Scandinavian flick to really upset it. Just go, you know, bang, bang, e-brake, rip it right around to look backwards, and hold the throttle pinned usually. And what that's going to do is you're going to use the wheels driving forwards as it's going backwards to slow you right down. So you come into a corner, bang, like that, flip it around, and it's gripping up, and then you angle as you're coming back, like you're looking towards the right hand side if it's a left-hander, the right hand side window, and just gradually turning the car in and around, basically, just to maneuver it. While you've got it pinned pretty much, or you're tapping it, so it's coming in like this, bang, like that, bit of a maneuver on the steering like this, wiggle it around, keep it going, and then bang. So this is, you just got nothing else you can do, way too quick, last ditch effort. Or if you want to look like a freaking sick driver. I love this method. Awesome. That's 4 methods you can attack a hairpin. But now, just out of curiosity, let's see which of these 4 methods is actually quicker. Okay, so bit of a comparison just to make it scientific. So this won't be exactly accurate, but it's going to be an interesting idea anyway. As we come around this right-hander, we see this little shadow that angles back. Once the front left wheel touches this is when I'll start the timer. We continue around the hairpin, and as we come in line with this post, so pretty much the front of the car, or the front of the front wheel basically, that's when the timer is going to stop. So between these 2 markers is when I'm going to judge the actual time, and let's just see what happens. So going into this, what did you actually think was going to be quicker? Comment down below, because I just find it interesting anyway. But let's run through the actual times and see what was quicker in this circumstance. So first off, we had the trail brake, which was a 0.6.10. So an interesting time. Second, we had the rip and grip, which was a 0.05.73. Pretty interesting there. The Scandi flick, a 0.05.83, so only a little bit slower. And the reverse entry, 0.05.73, exactly the same as the rip and grip. So I didn't really expect that, to be honest with you guys, though I'd guess coming in with a bit more entry speed, and you can wash off with the reverse entry and then coming back out again, makes sense. But to do this consistently in a race, it's very hard, man. So usually when I do a time trial or a nice replay for you guys, typically I've had a few attempts to get this stuff right. So take it with a grain of salt. Consider it a like if you can. This is actually a pretty fun one. Another tips and tricks video for you guys. And yeah, man, comment below if you like this sort of stuff, or you have a recommendation of rally tips or whatever. But yeah, guess we'll end it there, guys. Take it easy, have a good day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.